Beyond 2000 is brought to you by Optus Communications.
Technology does not drive change at all. Technology merely enables change.
If you're looking at all of today's computer applications, you're only seeing the tip of the iceberg of what's possible.
Using a computer ought to be like a pleasant walk in the woods.
Computers can do lousy jobs people don't want to do.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Owen. How are you? Fine. How was your day? Fine. That's great. Go wash your hands and you can have a snack.
So it's not the case that people don't use computers. They're just using poor computers.
Hey, Jake, show me the Beyond 2000 special.
If this computer was a car, it might be a 1940s model, a big old gas guzzler, good fun to drive on the weekends. If this computer was a car, it might be an early 80s make, zippy in traffic, easier on fuel, and easier to park. Here's our 90s model, incredibly fast, fuel efficient, and you can take it anywhere. But will you have a use for it?
When the automobile went from a novelty item into mass production, Henry Ford could have hardly imagined how powerful and important the car would become, from individual ownership to its effect on the world economy. And that has occurred over a period of just 80 years. For all its technological wonders, the computer is still not a big hit with the masses. As the salesman might put it, the market penetration is nothing like that of the car and nothing like what it should be. But if we're to believe the industry this time, all that's about to change.
If the check has been in the mail all this time, it's at last being delivered. Voice recognition is now a viable proposition.
Jake, show me your friend Casper.
Casper record Beyond 2000 this Tuesday.
Virtual reality is about to walk in your front door. The television is smartening up its act. You'll be able to write that novel you've been thinking about. Or teach yourself to fly without leaving the ground. Although Owen Iddings is part of a generation for whom computers are part of the furniture, even he will be astounded by the pace of change. There are compelling reasons for the arrival of these technologies. Back to our car analogy. When we head off to our destinations each day, we think nothing of it. The vehicles we drive are simple and easy to operate. The communication and information vehicles we now operate aren't nearly as simple. They look great, they have tremendous capabilities, but they fall a long way short of that great computer cliche, user-friendly.
Look at a 35mm camera today. A chimpanzee can take as good a photograph as Lord Snowden with a 35mm camera today, because all you have to do is point it and click it, and it'll do all the rest for you. We have not gotten computers even close to that point yet.
The global financial squeeze is forcing home the point. Many of the companies making the hardware and software are having megabytes taken from their once mega profit margins. The voice of the consumer is also being heard. An industry shake-up has started. In Silicon Valley, still the heart of high-tech, there's cause for optimism. Advances in digital communication enabling high-speed information transfers are fueling the changes. There'll be more computers, but they'll be less conspicuous, more functional and less complicated, far more powerful and much cheaper. Above all else, they'll be more interactive and less passive. They'll be packaged in such a way that we won't think of them as we do now.
Jake, show me Jim Clark.
The ordinary consumer will not care whether they're looking or dealing with a computer or not. The only thing they're going to care about, I think, is what they get that they didn't have before.
In the 80s, it was as if the computer was an island, and the only people who could reach it were those who designed the technology and the privileged few who understood how to use it properly. Access is what the 90s promises. Bridges in the form of products that will open up the computer to an entirely new group of users. The potential market could be upwards of 1 billion users spending about $3 trillion in 10 years' time. If you don't own a computer now, some way, somehow, someone will be enticing you to buy one. Think of videos, phones and faxes, how easy they are to use. That's where we're headed. Simplicity. Products that blur the line between the home and the office. This sort of friendly.
Excuse me. Jill Gilbert is calling back.
We'll show you more of that later.
Hi, Mike. What's up?
We'll see the computer doing more and more to make things easy to use and more efficient, more environmentally correct, less polluting.
And a change that is starting to come to the computer industry is taking the computers and turning them into consumer electronics products.
It's a kind of return to a more relaxed time via more pervasive technology. So it seems like a contradiction, but I think that's what we're going to get.
The revolution isn't behind us. The revolution's in front of us.
After the break, attacking the defense dollars, putting the consumer back in the driving seat.
Anorexia nervosa, new research that could unlock the secret to this deadly disorder.
Real Life, 6:30 tomorrow following 7 Nightly News.
When you see this label, you'll know you're buying something special. Products which have answered one simple criteria all through their development. What can we put in to make it better? Because to bear a David Jones private label, a product must not only look good, it must be good. It must be the best value for money. It must wear well. It must perform flawlessly. It must be generous in what it provides. It must represent quality. That's why on a David Jones business shirt, the seams are reinforced. Our luxury bath towels are a little thirstier than most. Our children's wear will pass the torture test with flying colors intact. Our cosmetics meet the highest standards. Our shoes are superbly crafted. And in fashion, attention to detail is everything. This label is your guarantee of quality.
There's no other store like David Jones.
Strongbow Dry, please.
Strongbow alcoholic cider. Sweet, dry or draft. Get into it any way you can.
As you know, whenever you eat, plaque forms on your teeth. And when you rinse with plaques before you brush, it loosens the plaque so your toothbrush can remove it more effectively. Well, now new plaques not only helps remove plaque, but it keeps working for hours to help stop plaque reforming. New improved plaques from Colgate.
Optus brings you Beyond 2000, a glimpse of the future through your television. When our service starts, you'll be able to experience the future through your telephone. Optus. It's for you.
RAM, disk, RISC, chip, ROM, megabyte, floppy, menu, memory. If computers have earned a reputation for being a little less than friendly, then the language that surrounds them is positively alien.
Often people in the technology business get very swept up in marketing the internal specifications of something that to most people are irrelevant.
Let's call the disease industry elitism.
Heaven forbid we should ever go out and see what regular people do with our computers, let alone that we should go out and look at people who don't use computers and find out what their real job is like and wonder why they don't use them. Let's just hang around together and talk to one another and haggle over our latest product reviews rather than exposing ourselves to this real world of consumers. I'm sorry to say that's what we as an industry have been doing for 10 years.
It comes back to the chicken and the egg theory. What or who comes first? The technology should be adapted to our needs, not the reverse. Up until now, many of the users feel they've been treated as losers.
You don't know it unless you're inside the computer, but the computer is really demanding that you live in its world. So it's saying, if you want me to add two numbers together, you have to inform me what the numbers are, where in my memory they're stored, and then command me to add them together, and then tell me where to put the answer when I'm done.
Okay, I got the target. Coming down. This is bedtime.
So why the twisted priorities? Well, some of the blame can be laid at the door of the US Defense Department. It's the traditional test bed for much of the technology we now find in our offices and homes. Only it was never really designed for such benign environments. The crew of this helicopter is firing at a decoy range using computer-guided missiles.
You can't fly an Apache helicopter without relying on high technology.
The Gulf War, in which these machines played a major role, provided a frightening showcase for smart weapons. The harsh conditions were the ultimate proving ground for the technology, with devastating consequences. But the billions of dollars thrown at these machines in the past are evaporating.
While the Defense Department's budgets were the driving force behind the development of computer technology, we're now entering a new era where the war games don't have such a high price.
Oh, sorry about that.
With the changing political landscape, the sophistication of the chips that guided the weapons of war can now be put to more peaceful purposes. It's idealistic, but in future, perhaps wars will be fought over $1 3D video games rather than over countries.
You're about to die. Ah! Ah!
This extraordinary tank simulator, built on silicon graphics computers, was designed to train Army personnel for combat. It recreates different conditions and terrain, and about as much reality on the battlefield as you'd ever wish to experience.
Jake, show me Simon in a simulator.
Likewise, the F-15 flight simulator that sits in the same room is about as close as you can come to the real thing.
That looks neat.
But the staff have trouble keeping the chairman out of the cockpit.
I personally learned to fly in the initial stages flying our flight simulator, and I subsequently went out and took lessons and became a pilot.
And that's the point. Soon we'll all have the chance to learn to fly, drive or sail without leaving home. Technology like this is no longer the sole domain of the military. The money and the creative energy that weapons soaked up can now be directed elsewhere.
The Americans, who have been spending 6% of the gross domestic product on defense, all of a sudden have an incredible number of very highly talented people available to work on something else. Now, in the short term, those people in those companies are used to building million-dollar widgets, and that mentality is going to have to change, but the people are fully capable of doing it.
The government contracts were a safety net for some of those companies. If they're to survive, they'll have to knock on doors other than this one. The cultural landscape is changing just as quickly as the political scene. Increasingly, people value their leisure time, and increasingly, much of that leisure time is spent at home. A fact that one company has exploited better than most.
Jake, show me Nintendo.
find that. Now, have you found the map or the compass yet?
No.
He'll turn blue.
This is Nintendo's Game Counseling Center outside Seattle, where operators take about 130,000 calls every week from customers.
Okay, so don't have any of them. That's fine. Okay, have you tried the NES playing? Okay, has he been back to the town of Leaf?
The computer game giant claims it has a machine in 1 in 3 homes in the US. That makes Nintendo, well, profitable. This year, it will swallow up more than 80% of the $6 billion US video game market. Nintendo is like a culture within a culture. At one of its evaluation centers, these boys are testing prototypes of new games. The concentration is intense. Like mini executives, they'll give the thumbs up or thumbs down to new formats. The boys are blissfully unaware of the stakes in a much more serious game. Nintendo has the potential for slicing big chunks out of the computer market. With its machines as platforms, more powerful chips will make it possible to incorporate new programs, like 3D graphics. The on-screen battles are a taste of the looming contest between the consumer electronics companies and the computer companies. Super Mario is gearing up for his biggest fight.
A source that can generate the power your software needs. The affordable Intel 486. Power it up and run your software at light speed.
Obviously, both of them are looking at each other's territory as new pastures to graze on, and that's what competitive battles are made of. So I see a big competitive battle ahead of us in this decade.
On the one hand, the US still dominates the computer industry, think Apple Mac, while Japan leads the world in consumer electronics products, take the Sony Walkman. The hit products of the 90s will combine the computer smarts of the Mac with the hipness and functionality of Sony's Walkman. Apple is hoping it's found the mark with this device. It carries a famous name.
This is the most important thing that I've ever been involved with in my entire life.
The power of the pocketbook. That's after the break.
16 Days of Glory, the greatest sporting event the world has ever known. Barcelona 92, great Olympic moments. 5 o'clock Sunday on 7.
For Bill, choosing his green slip couldn't have been easier. He was meeting his AMP agent, so he got it on the spot.
Well, if an accident is my fault, my family's covered by AMP, General.
AMP. We'll always be there.
Strongbow draft, thanks. Strongbow alcoholic cider. Sweet, dry, or draft. Get into it any way you can.
The absolute final MTV $5 million fashion leather sale is on this Wednesday till Sunday at the Sydney Town Hall, 9 a.m. till 9 p.m. Italian-designed soft leather and suede skirts, only $29, save $60. Ladies' leather and suede jackets, only $99, save $100. Quality men's leather jackets, only $199, save $100. Famous brand designer label jeans from a ridiculous $20, save up to $200 on bikie jackets. This is the final sale this winter. Huge savings at the Sydney Town Hall, Peace Hall, Wednesday till Sunday, 9 a.m. till 9 p.m.
To win a gold medal, you've got to do the very best you can, whether you're an athlete or an organisation. National Australia Bank has been awarded a gold medal by the Advance Australia Foundation for their tailored home loans. Loans tailored to help people own their home sooner and save thousands of dollars. I know. I'm with the National. What about you?
Come in and find out how much you can save with our award-winning tailored home loan. National Australia Bank, tailoring banking to your needs.
Who rolls the lightest croissants this side of the Eiffel Tower?
The Pimbo Quichon.
Excuse me, the Pimbo...
Quichon, see?
Ah, the Pimble Kitchen.
That's what I said.
Thousands of Bosnian Muslims are imprisoned in Serbian camps. Why is the world ignoring them? Only time will tell.
Turn up the heat as Randy Crawford bears her soul and take off with the B-52s to that weird and wonderful world on Tonight Live.
The personal computer industry is worth about $100 billion a year. But these old PCs are worth more dead than alive. 250 grams of gold is extracted from the circuit boards in every ton of them. After more than a decade on the market, the desktop PC may have had its day.
The personal computer as we know it is obsolete technology. In fact, I think the personal computer will turn out to be the horseless carriage of the information revolution.
The crunch on the PC is coming from two directions. Above it are ever cheaper workstations that incorporate the phone, fax, text and graphics. Below it are the smaller, elaborate information appliances like Newton. 4 years in the making, this tiny notebook computer can handle the little tasks and even some of the bigger ones we undertake each day. Interpreting your handwriting, the symbols you draw, even sending faxes down phone lines or over cellular networks. In fact, anything you write or draw on Newton can be transmitted to another computer or fax machine anywhere in the world. At its recent industry launch at a Chicago trade fair, Newton was the show stealer. Apple is banking on it becoming a must-have device. It seems Hewlett-Packard's 95LX Palm Top is already in that category. With more than 100,000 sales in its first year, it has a big jump on the opposition.
Jake, what's my computer gonna be like in 10 years?
Copy the last 30 years at this location at 1 month intervals.
Excuse me, Jill Gilbert is calling back.
Great. Put her through.
Hi, Mike. What's up?
Jill, thanks for getting back to me.
Both the Palm Top and Newton are the entrees prior to the main course. In 1988, Apple commissioned filmmaker George Lucas to breathe life into its vision of the home office digital assistant, careful to avoid the word computer. They called it the Knowledge Navigator.
The basic idea behind the Knowledge Navigator is to move beyond the concept of a simple tool, simple, accessible, but powerful tool, into an area in which the relationship, fundamental relationship between a human being and a computing machine changes from a simple tool to more of an assistant.
Great. I'd like to have a copy of that for myself.
Opinion was divided on the merits of the short film. Some said it created unrealistic expectations. Others said it was an exciting and achievable industry target. The indications are the skeptics will eat their words.
Interesting. I can definitely use this. Thanks for your time, Jill. I really appreciate it.
No problem. But next time I'm in Berkeley, you're buying the dinner.
Dinner, right.
See ya, 4:15.
Bye-bye.
While you were busy, your mother called again to remind you to pick up the birthday cake.
Fine. Print this article before I go.
Now printing.
What about the digital computer?
If the Knowledge Navigator is to become reality, then the digital decade ahead will make it feasible.
If 4:30 suits you, that's fine with me. All right, look forward to seeing you then. Okay. Working in an analog world has been one of the major hurdles holding back computer advances. When computers can talk to each other as easily as you and I can across digital networks like this phone system, then the information floodgates will open. Think of analog as a 2-lane road, which transforms into a 50-lane digital superhighway. There's no interruption to your journey, nothing to slow you down. The suburban street becomes an autobahn. Fast, efficient, unimpeded exchanging of information that can be stored, retrieved, and manipulated. Fibre optics and radio signals will carry the digital code of ones and zeros. Even the old copper wires might have their analog arteries cleared.
The freedom to add pictures and sound requires a lot more storage in the computer. The solution is to squeeze more information into the same space. It's a technique called compression, first developed for transmitting faxes. Optical storage on CDs is by far the best storage method of digital media for now. As a result, books and magazines have come alive.
Baker Finch came out of the rough and up from down under to win the British Open.
Publications themselves will go away from the static image and become dynamic. There will be animated video parts, and there will be computer-generated parts, and there will be text to read, and there will be voiceovers.
Except I'm not at the West Bank, so go to West Bank Cafe. Yeah.
In the long term, multimedia products promise much as education tools. They give children an even greater chance to discover things for themselves. They can hear the passion of great speeches. And extensive networks will provide access to all manner of research material.
Let's get out of here and go. Let's go Catman do more on here. How did you get out?
At a higher level, the computer has enormous potential to enhance the learning process. The task for educators is to use it in the right way, which isn't easy when the children sometimes understand its functions better than their teachers.
Continue. KT.
There's something very frustrating for many adults when they look at this generation and see just how easily they interact with computers. Where grown-ups often tend to approach computers with fear and loathing, for the children, there are no inhibitions at all.
Computers will never replace teachers, but students that don't have access to a computer, either at home or in the classroom, will be severely disadvantaged when choosing a career path. Computer literacy has become essential for this generation. That word interactive can't be overemphasized. It has to be two-way communication. Just like a teacher, the computer must encourage the student to learn. Which is why in future, television may not be the arch-enemy of parents and teachers. When we come back, how the TV is reshaping its image.
I think the bad rap is that TV's too passive. I think it's parents looking at that glazed over look on their children's faces that just causes them agony. That will change.
Joey had a way with words.
Please, I'm trying to bury a guy, not buy a hearse.
And a way with women.
Okay, you shut up now, eat.
Okay.
Now he's in way over his head.
One moment, please.
Salesman.
Take no prisoners.
Lover.
What do you say?
Legend.
You've had the rest, now have the best.
Now to prove it,
Now you're gonna die!
he has to come up with the sales pitch of his life.
You're crazy, Larry. What?
With Tim Robbins and starring Robin Williams. Cadillac Man premieres 8:30 Wednesday on 7.
When it comes to the crunch and you need a big munch for your breakfast, even lunch, try new Crunchy Bits with peanuts, wheat, and crispy rice. Crunchy Bits taste so right, full of crunchy, munchy bits. Try new Crunchy Bits. You love them cause they're tasty. You love them cause they're crunchy. You love them, yes, you love them, yes, you love them to bits. You Crunchy Bits, they're so crunchy. You Crunchy Bits, they're so munchy. You Crunchy Bits, love them to bits.
Quiet, please.
Peter Allen, the Tenterfield boy, will be remembered for writing some of the greatest songs of our
The more
time.
I see you,
The very best of Peter Allen.
the more I want you. Don't cry out loud. Time is a traveler. Tenterfield satellite. Still call a stranger.
16 of his most treasured songs. The very best of Peter Allen. A tribute to the talent and sheer brilliance of a proud Australian.
Did you know with your car insurance you have a no-claim bonus?
I'm sorry, I don't know. Yes.
Yeah, and an excess?
Yeah.
Well, do you know what happens to them when you have an accident?
Don't have a clue, mate. Just sign the papers.
People hand over hundreds of dollars for car insurance without knowing all the benefits they can get for their money.
Well, you know, if you're with double AMI and you have an accident that's not your fault and you get the registration number of the other car, you don't lose any of your no-claim bonus and you don't have to pay any excess.
Oh, that's good. That's terrific.
Because when you stop and think about car insurance, you'll know you're lucky to be with Amy.
Optus brings you Beyond 2000, a glimpse of the future through your television. When our service starts, you'll be able to experience the future through your telephone. Optus. It's for you.
What's going to happen to my television?
Arriving home from the office, if you have one Beyond 2000, and it's time to relax.
Ignition and liftoff of Discovery and the Ulysses spacecraft bound for the polar regions of the sun.
Television as we know it is probably not long for this world. The medium will expand and undergo rapid change in the next few years. And by the turn of the century, it may not even be known as television.
Simon, just calling to make sure you know you're in studio on Monday. Have any problems, give me a call. Otherwise, see you Monday. Bye.
Hi Simon, just calling about the story which we were looking at in Africa. I've got some details through which you might be interested in checking out, so give us a call when you come in and we'll talk it over. See you then.
As well as being an answering machine, we'll be able to personalise our viewing. If you're a journalist, perhaps check different stories from sources around the world. The news that you want to watch rather than the news you have to watch. Then the ultimate fantasy or nightmare, depending on your tastes. Imagine directing cameras from your lounge room on the weekend sports coverage. Now that's entertainment.
Hello, yes, I'd like to see if there are any seats available for next Tuesday night's concert at the Opera House.
Yes, there are seats available for that night. How many would you like?
Through the digital telecomputer, as Jim Clark calls it, you'll be able to go shopping, do your banking, or book a night out.
It will be $90 plus booking fee. How would you like to pay?
I'll be paying with this credit card, if that's okay.
Such devices may well become a means by which we can register a vote at a federal or state election, or maybe closer to home.
You know, your local county or your local community is voting on streetlights on your street, and you care about it, but you just don't quite get to it. You could watch the local council meeting and send your opinion.
Now, look, what I want you to do is very important. Have you ever seen or studied the inside of a clock?
Telecomputers will provide users with instant access to movies, like some futuristic jukebox. If choosing a movie at the video store is difficult, imagine having your choice of every movie that's been made. The touch of a key, the click of a mouse, or a voice command will bring it to your screen. But perhaps that's not enough for you.
We have a lot of people that see the movies and then know that our computers were used to generate these animations and want to be able to do it themselves.
Very soon you'll have that chance. The sophisticated computers that achieved effects like these will be available for about $10,000 in 2 to 3 years. Home movies just won't be the same.
The advent of true realistic three-dimensional animation is going to open up a broad array of new applications in entertainment and in communication.
Entertainment is where the combination of digital technology and computers allows the imagination to roam free.
Hot water system, you can have long hot baths as often as you please.
Oh, great. Just great.
3D computer-generated animation brings the threat of machines taking the jobs of human animators.
beast.
The recent Disney release, Beauty and the Beast, was a captivating compromise.
We're working on one sequence when they fall in love, and because we're generating the ballroom in the computer, we can get all sorts of great crane shots and camera moves that you wouldn't normally be able to achieve conventionally. And the hand-drawn animation they'll enhance each other.
As the sun.
The extension of this 3D animated world is the total interactive environment of virtual reality. It's been described as a chance to deny reality, perhaps dangerously warping our perception of the real world. As a means for visualizing, shaping and experiencing other worlds, it stands to make the impact of television seem tame by comparison. But for now, it's a technology still finding its way.
Becomes a statue.
Yeah, and then back. Yeah.
A stroll through 3D space in Apple's experimental virtual museum is an example of how it can be used to enlighten. Imagine navigating your way through the great museums of the world, accessing information about the masterpieces as you go, and interacting with the displays. The Louvre in Paris or the Prado in Madrid can come to you. The works of Van Gogh, Picasso, Rubens, Rembrandt become accessible to everyone. You can explore different cultures and countries in your lounge room. Or if you're more adventurous, the US bobsled team was able to experience the Albertville Winter Olympics run without raising a sweat. Every corner and curve was mapped out in their heads long before the Olympics came around. Virtual reality will influence many individuals and professions before the turn of the century. After it, the uses we make of VR could affect everyone on the planet. It's potentially an all-powerful technology, but we should be mindful that through the computer, we have the power to steer it. In a moment, getting down to business.
Casanova's son hits town.
I wonder if he's as great a lover as his father.
Bly will use any weapon to learn his secrets.
I'll do it.
There goes a devoted woman.
Then the office badmouth moves in.
You're not thinking of hitting on her.
Hitting on her, sitting on her, spitting on her, whatever she's into.
Toyota presents Great Loves, 8:30 Thursday.
New, thicker, richer cuddly. Conditions clothes to give that wonderful feeling of softness. New cuddly. You never felt better.
This week in Who Weekly, Jerry Hall talks divorce. After 15 years of infidelity, Mick's getting satisfaction from a 23-year-old Italian model, and Jerry wants out. There's also the changing face of Michael Jackson. Has he gone too far with plastic surgery? And Robbo gets sacked, but still manages a few final digs. Plus the highs and lows of the Olympics and lots more.
So tell me, who are you? I do! Oh no.
Harpic powder with the power of bleach to hygienically clean right through to the S-bend.
Every home needs Harpic.
Hey kids, you could win one of 1,000 cuddly Snoopies in the Weet-Bix Peanuts colouring contest. Get this bonus collector album with 10 tokens from Weet-Bix packs.
Great news!
Plus bonus Peanuts collector cards in every Weet-Bix pack.
Yay!
Colour in Snoopy and you could win. There's an entry form and full contest details on the back of all large Weet-Bix packs.
It's the greatest.
The Weet-Bix Peanuts colouring contest and bonus collector cards and album. Don't miss it.
Yay! Everybody wants a home, sweet home, a special place to call your own.
Whether you're building, buying or renovating your home, everything you need to know is at the Australian International Home Show.
Everybody wants a home, sweet home, it's special place to call your own.
Discover thousands of exciting products and decorating ideas for your home, plus thousands of dollars in prizes to win.
Everybody wants a home, sweet home.
Start Saturday at Darling Harbour. See papers for details.
We're having a laid-back morning. Getting the top today, 17 right now.
Lovely and soft, isn't it? It's beautiful. I'm just feeling it. Would you like to try it on? I shouldn't really, but I'd love to. It feels beautiful.
New Cuddly. You never felt better.
Once the most admired woman in the world, now shrouded in scandal. Will Diana bring down the House of Windsor? A revealing insight, Thursday on 7.
It's the year 2010. Your vehicle is driving you to work, following your instructions. You're free to organise your day on a video voice network. And when you get to work, the same freedom.
Casper, open my calendar. Casper, schedule a meeting with Yenlu Chow.
What day would you like to meet?
Casper, show me next Friday.
At what time would you like to schedule the meeting?
The computer is taking care of business wherever you look or talk. Behind the doors of Apple's Advanced Technology Group, voice recognition is being taken to a new level of efficiency.
The idea is that a person can buy a Macintosh, open it up, turn it on, and begin to use it without any training or setup.
Bob Strong is one of the team working towards consistent speech interaction. Research is concentrated on 3 fronts: to improve synthetic speech, to focus the computer on the speaker's voice while filtering out background noise,
Casper, record Beyond 2000 this Tuesday,
and to enable the technology to work under imperfect conditions. Here's how you might use it.
Casper, open my checkbook. Casper, pay PG&E $45.
So it even has a range of words. You don't have to say exactly the numbers or... But if you don't feel like talking to your computer, you might find something more appealing a little way down the corridor.
The critical thing here is that it really is understanding what words look like as a full pattern.
Michael Kaplan is writing, let's say scribbling his way into the future. With all due respect to your writing now, that's almost like doctor's writing. I mean, that's sort of something that another handwriting computer would probably have a great deal of trouble with.
Right, well...
Artificial intelligence techniques are overcoming the recognition problems that have held back this technology. For those who don't like to type, this research is the most promising so far for computers that accept handwriting.
And what it does, in order to be able to recognize that, is instead of trying to recognize each character individually and then just assemble a word from each of those recognitions, what it does is try to do what a human being would do, which is to perceive the word as a whole.
What's new in pens?
While such intelligent handwriting machines aren't yet at the product stage, simpler pen-based computers are hitting the market. Lisa Wheel has one as a constant companion in her job with Microsoft. The world's largest software company has just introduced Windows for pen computing to its range. Throw away the keyboard and your computer becomes mobile. Throw away your tattered paper notebook and you have computer power wherever you go, even when you're on the move.
For instance, I'm just working on my calendar and my appointments for the day here. I could write somebody's name in, right here, write in Mary Jane. And if I wanted to, then I could come back, schedule an appointment. I can also...
One research group predicts 85% annual growth for the pen-based computer market over the next 6 years. With new markets come new terms. Get used to this one.
The most important technology advance, I think, in this decade will be ubiquitous networking.
That is, computers small and large that can talk to computers everywhere else.
One way to think of ubiquitous computing is it's a kind of whole body interface to the computer. It's all around you, every place.
Xerox PARC is where the concept of the PC was first broached in the 70s. A new team of researchers are casting beyond the next decade to a world of cheap disposable badge computers, right up to wall-size computers that act like smart blackboards. They say pens will still be pens, but there won't be a need for handwriting recognition.
Computers now aren't very good at simulating ink, and yet that's a much more natural thing to have a computer do than to recognize the letters. I mean, our paper doesn't recognize when we write on it, and yet we find paper very, very effective. Rather than be intimate with our computers, we want the computers to get out of the way so that we can focus on life, focus on work, you know, get on with what people want to do rather than playing with our computers.
Hi, this is Steve Jobs. I want to welcome you to the next world. We think you're going to love this computer.
If Xerox first touted the PC, then Steve Jobs was the man who first gave it a friendly face. While at Apple, he pioneered the Mac. Now his company Next is trying to increase its business by improving the way we do business. Bud Tribble is part of a company where there are no secrets. Everyone's salaries from the top down are common knowledge, a progressive philosophy behind their product. Next has pinned its faith on high-end workstations that use object-oriented programming.
It's a very powerful paradigm you can see for programming versus writing all of this functionality from scratch.
OOP is designed to take advantage of the great leaps that have been made in computer hardware. It's a language that replaces standard monotonous procedures by assembling programs from flexible building blocks. These different blocks, like text, images and sound, can be linked to each other. For example, the system gives you an immediate definition of a word without having to pull down menus.
Benefit of object-oriented programming, you're playing with larger pieces of code that can be reused in many different ways.
The sum of all these parts is that the workplace is being redefined, reorganized, and redistributed. Wherever we are, by whatever means we travel, the computers or information appliances we use will be a communications window to the rest of the world. We'll check the view when we return.
You know, this era, the sort of 80s and 90s, as we move from time sharing to workstations to personal computers, will be viewed as sort of the last gasp of personal or intimate computing.
The future is brighter and brighter yet.
The chief takes on the FBI when a teenager's kidnapped by a crazed ex-cop who wants revenge.
No!
The Heater's back, 9:30 tonight.
Experience the ultimate flying machine. The new BMW 3 Series Coupe.
Gold bat insulation from Bradford is so effective. You can slice around $300 a year off the average fuel bill. That should warm you up.
Oh, my favorite battle jacket.
New powerful formula charge is charged with eucalyptus and lemon, penetrating stains so they dissolve away.
Charge works! Hologram, charge! Brass and bloodstains, charge! Charge? Ah!
Nothing takes the worry out of stains like...
Why eat it on your own? Toblerone, better than chocolate on its own, because it combines the unique taste and goodness of almonds, nougat, and honey. Why eat it on your own? Why eat it on your own? Why eat it on your own? With a taste that's all its own. Why eat it on your Toblerone?
Dive in and discover the Fiji you don't know. Explore waterfalls, reefs, and rainforests, and be part of an ancient culture. Dive in and let the world's best hosts show you some new adventures. Go fishing, flying, feasting, discovering. Discover the Fiji you don't know. Right now, 8 days in Fiji from just $699. Dive into your travel agent tomorrow.
Apple PowerBook. It lets you run MS-DOS software. It lets you run Macintosh software. It lets you run away.
Many people today feel they're under siege, trying to process all the information they absorb. Information anxiety is what one doctor calls it. The difference between what we think we should understand and what we're actually able to understand. You may know the symptoms. There's always your therapist to fall back on, but be prepared. In time, dread the thought, it may be a computer that you pour your heart out to.
Yes.
With each visit, PC Therapist learns more about you. Its many responses are, of course, programmed. But in the next millennium, it's possible computers will exist that can deal with ambiguity. Think of PC Therapist as the Model T Ford of the coming generations.
Politicians.
The ultimate goal is to create a computer that can genuinely think, or, like HAL in 2001, actually has some kind of form of consciousness.
Of course, that's a long way off. To ease our anxiety in the short term, the new computer products will give us more control over the information we take in each day, assisting us to focus on what's relevant to our world.
I think that will then begin to address the, what do computers do for me? Because it will be much more apparent that they're doing just about anything that you're interested in doing.
Our computers will only ever be as good as the software they run on. We don't watch television because we like the look of our TVs. We watch it because of the programs it carries. Well, computers are the same. It's no use having the world's most powerful chip without the software to exploit it. Microsoft, Apple, IBM, and others know that software advances equal profit in the 90s. They're after your business like never before. But what do you buy?
The first thing to be sure of in both the consumer electronics and the computer technology business is that there will always be something much better coming out next month. And so first you have to get past the notion of you can always wait for the next best thing.
So the good news of this revolution is that it presents tremendous choice to us all. We just have to be careful about the choices we make.
The question of choice is also one society must face. We have to make some far-reaching decisions about the world we want to live in. Ubiquitous networks and instant access to information bring responsibilities. Technology won't buy us wisdom.
We have a great deal to learn about how humans can interact with these synthetic systems.
I think that the changes in terms of how we interact with each other as people that are being brought about by computers is almost happening too fast for society, for the law, for the government to really deal with. And I expect some fairly turbulent times ahead over the next 10, 20, 30 years in just society grappling with these issues.
Jake, what will I get in the future?
Today's PCs might be the size of a single chip, and when they're out of the way rather than in the way, computers will genuinely make life more productive.
I think as long as we continue to use computers to make us more effective, to make us more productive, to automate our work, to allow us to deal with higher level problems, we'll continue to create more value, we'll create more wealth, and there'll be more to go around.
And the rapid growth of interactive 3D computers that better represent the real world, friendlier, cheaper, and faster.
So the key is interactivity. The key is being able to have something that responds so quickly to you that you can't keep up with it. What I'm hopeful that we can begin to do is to dream a little bit and think a little bit more freely about things not yet imagined, let alone promised or hyped.
To you, Barney, I leave the lost secret of the golden fountainhead. The orb will be our gateway to yesteryear.
The fear is that future technologies will devour us, threatening our individuality. But if anything, it seems we're heading the other way, at last recognizing that everyone has special needs.
No, I'm from the future.
The major players may have different interpretations about what the future holds. But there is one point on which they all concur, and that is that the end user must be the most important focus of their future plans. Companies that ignore you and me in their strategies won't be around to find out where they went wrong.
Thanks, Jake. Now let's play a game.
More drama in the Deep South as a crazed ex-cop kidnaps a teenager, and Gillespie does battle with the FBI. In the Heat of the Night returns in just a moment on 7. And remember, tomorrow night, Robin Williams and Tim Robbins star in the movie premiere Cadillac Man, right after an hour of all Aussie fun with Hey Dad and Georgie Parker in Acropolis Now.
I'm Stan Grant. On the next edition of Real Life, new research shows that good girls can make the worst anorexics. Real Life at 6:30.